Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.
Good morning, Bix Weir, roadrunner.com with your morning horn is easier sip of chaga coffee. All right, silver's moving. A lot of things going on. Be calm. Be calm. Breaths. I'm chatting with Jenny Moonstone today. I'm chatting with SGT today. Sean over at SGT, along with Chris Marcus and Jean-Claude. It's going to be a great discussion. I'll give you guys the link to that when it comes out. I do want to remind you that our friend over at Miles Franklin, Andy Scheckman, that good-looking guy, check this out. There he is. People used to tell me he looked like Walter Matthau from The Odd Couple. Great guy. He's been... Now, here's the amazing thing. Andy and I have been talking a very long time. He got really onto this BRICS things so much earlier than other people as it relates to gold, as it relates to availability. The majority of what Andy sells is silver, because people are. If you're smart enough to invest in precious metals, you're smart enough to know there's a difference between gold and silver. They're both precious metals. I would argue that silver is the most important precious metal, has been used longer as money than gold, and has been more popular than gold in history. Now, the banksters, like their gold. They're going to be in for a rude awakening when they find out just how much gold there is in the world and how little silver there is left. Ted Butler loves to say, if gold were to go away tomorrow, it won't affect humanity all that much. If silver would go away tomorrow, we'd see massive disruptions everywhere because of the industrial component. 60% of silver is used in the industrial side. So, when you think about where the gold-silver ratio should be, and it's changing quickly, by the way. It's still over 80, but not for long. You think about where it should be. At a minimum, it should be above ground stocks. There's about 6 billion of each. That's a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay, let's just, historically, they set it at like 15-to-1, but that's before the industrial side of silver really kicked in and we consumed all that silver. And then coming out of the ground, I think the minimum it should be is what's coming out of the ground. Especially because most of it's consumed, and that's 7-to-1. But remember, 60% of that is going to be consumed on the industrial side. Electric cars, flat screen TVs, solar power. It's insane. The story behind silver is there's only one problem with silver, and that's the manipulated price, and that's about to end. All the signs are saying that it's about to end. It's about to end. It won't end quietly. It'll end in a breach of $30, and then poof, nobody knows what the price of silver is going to run to. I would expect it run very quickly to 50, maybe a week or two, and then from there, when it does breach 50, it might be a holding point for some people, but I don't think so. I mean, with the big guys getting out, who's going to hold the price of silver back? It was the banksters that held the price of silver back in 1980. Along with the CFTC, that stopped trading on the Comex because silver was about to blow through 50. Now it hit 50 again in 2011 with J.P. Morgan, the ultimate silver rigger. I've talked a lot about that in 2011 when Jamie Dimon put his head of this financial SWAT team, a guy named Bill Daley, as Obama's chief of staff, just so they can control silver. As soon as he got in, the price of silver went from $20 to $50, and when he left a year later, it was still down at $20. So they got the weak hands in, started an artificial bear market in 2011, and then slammed it down. I've talked extensively about that. Had JP Morgan not ventured to rig the silver market at that point in time, nobody knows what the price of silver would be today. And that's the problem with the bankers, with the regulators, with even investors in silver. Nobody knows what the true fair market value of silver is and should be. What's going to happen when silver goes over $50? Well, the manufacturers are going to panic. They're going to try to load up with all they can. The smart ones are already doing it by buying futures and taking delivery in London. I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, anyway, Andy Scheckman I talked to him this morning. For all of you guys wanting to load up on silver, I have a great offer for you. $2.99 over spot. The 10-ounce silver Ruta bars. Will these be a collector's item? I think so. I mean, I love them. It's a message. It's the right message. May the road you choose be the right road. I think the right road right now is to load up on Ruta silver bars. Only $2.99 over spot. You can get them at Miles Franklin. Just send them an email and tell them how many you want. And then if you're a customer of theirs, all you have to do is wire the money and they send them to your front door. No, you can't buy them anywhere else. Miles Franklin has the machinery. They make these bars for me and for him. So yeah, it's a special for Road to Ruta customers. $2.99 over spot. To get them, send Miles Franklin an email info at Miles Franklin MILESFRANKLIN.com and ask them how many can I buy. I don't think there's a limit. Now it takes some time to make them. I don't know how many they have in stock, but they'll be making them. So yeah, I would say now if you're gonna look at September as a crazy time for silver, now would be, I think, the best time to put your order in for the coolest bar ever made, 10-ounce bar, the Road to Ruta bar. Load up. I bought a couple. You can buy boxes full of them. There is no limit on your orders. As opposed to the Ruta Lives coin that is just given away with the Road to Ruta membership. I'll talk about that at the end, as I usually do. All right. So again, contact Miles Franklin, info at milesfranklin.com, and get your silver Ruta bars. Silver is almost hitting $25. No, I don't think 25 is a big number. As a matter of fact, if you look at the moving averages, we are now above all the moving averages. And that was a big catalyst for the tech players. When they see silver going above 30, that's when they load up, and the commercials, the big commercials, will short into the rise. That's the only question left. Are they going to short into the rise? And if they are, how much are they going to allow silver to run? If they don't short into the rise and think the market absorption, and this is literally a handful, maybe 5 or 6 players in silver. If they don't short into the rise, because who in their right mind, unless they know they can slam it, would short into the rise, especially with silver in this precarious position. I don't think anybody would unless they are absolutely for sure that they can stop it. And I don't think anybody is anymore. There are billionaires and trillionaires out there loading up on silver. They're not doing it on the Comex, though, as can be seen with the Comex data. But you can see with the exchange for physical. Exchange for physical is you take a Comex contract in America and you transfer it over to the LBMA for delivery. Massive transfer just today. This is the middle of it. All this stuff is supposed to be delivered on the Comex, truthfully. A massive transfer of 2,275 contracts. That's 11 million ounces. That's a massive mid-month transfer of someone saying, I'm going to take these are from the September contract. Now, the September contract currently holds 101,000 contracts, over 500 million ounces of physical silver. What if all of them said, oh my God, if this is really the end game, I want to get my physical, I'm going to do an exchange for physical. The Comex won't let you do it, won't let you pull it out of the Comex, but you can do an exchange for physical. And as you can see, Harvey Organ tracks this very well at harveyorganblog.com. As of yesterday, and I talked about this yesterday, it's a tiny month in July. I'm like, what's going on? Nothing's happening. There's only 12 million ounces and we're halfway through the month. Well, just yesterday that doubled. Just yesterday that doubled. Exchange for physical, 2,275 contracts, 11 million ounces screamed for delivery in London. That means, to me, it means that silver's not available on the Comex. Now they're still pulling stuff out of the Comex, as you can see from right here, still delivering. And this HSBC is on the hook now. HSBC, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citibank. Those are the main Morgan Stanley 200. When I talk about the commercials, those are the main commercials. They're the ones delivering. So keep an eye on that. Everything, Ted Butler tracks this like you wouldn't believe. Everything is screaming to Ted that the game is over. And they're not only Are the commercials probably not going to short into the rise? Now, mind you, all this started on July 4th, by the way. And that's an important day for me and my country. It's my birthday and my country's birthday. And given the place we are right now, the positioning of the criminals on the Comex, and what we have coming up with the BRICS, and then September 11th coming up, and then the end of the J.P. Morgan deferred prosecution agreement, which they violated at least 3 times already. What will the DOJ do? Not that I count on the law actually taking hold in the United States of America. J.P. Morgan has a judge in their pocket, as I talked about yesterday. So they can do anything as far as the kids are concerned, as far as the rigging of markets are concerned. Don't forget, J.P. Morgan is the largest U.S. bank derivative holder at $60 trillion in derivatives. Got an email from my friend Greg Tanaka. I think I talked about him before in the past. Brilliant guy. Wrote a book about the stuff we're talking about. Professor. And he's like, it's the counterparties. We've talked about a lot in the past. And it got me thinking, counterparties are already failing. They're just not being talked about. And actually, they're being bailed out. It's the little counterparties that are being bailed out right now because they're easy to bail out. So I responded to him and said, ultimately the end game, the good guys don't want to blame the little guys for this situation. They don't want to blame some little tiny counterpart that nobody'd heard of starting the mass destruction of the derivative $2.5 quadrillion derivative market. They want to blame the people who are responsible. And who's the most responsible for this derivative quagmire we're in is JP Morgan Chase. That's why we're seeing stuff about the board and Jamie Dimon and senior executives at JP Morgan being involved with Jeffrey Epstein in that world. Because they're all combined. As Jenny Moonstone has told us, by the way, again, I'm talking to Jenny today. I'll be posting that. We're going to be talking about the deep, dark secrets of JP Morgan and those people involved in not only the rigging of our financial market, not only the rigging of silver. As she says, silver will be set free when the children are set free, and that is exposed, and that is coming. It is happening right now. So we'll get deep into that one. All right, where am I? So, yeah, here's what happened just this morning, just like yesterday. Someone right in here decided I'm going to be buying a little sell down, and that's how they test how the market's going. And the only question left, and Ted Butler is 100% right, is will the large commercial shorts, i.e., JP Morgan, Bank of America, Citibank, HSBC, that handful, that rig, usually they go through a guy named Vinny Viola. Vinny Viola is I think he's still the CEO of Virtu Financial, an electronic trading company. It was the counterparty to Madoff and gang. Vinny Viola went to West Point, actually cheated at West Point, started a high-frequency trading company, the largest market maker in the world. They're equivalent to Citadel, except more on a stealth level. And I've been talking about them over 10 years. It was called EWT LLC before, which is a play on Elliott wave theory. Elliott wave theory is this theoretical, if this goes like this and there's 5 waves and blah, blah, blah. And Vinny Viola used to play off those guys because, ultimately it's got nothing to do with the Comex positioning, with the technical aspects. In a free market, it would, but we don't have a free market. So EWT LLC would, that's how they would siphon money off the tech traders is let them play their game, except screw with them, play the other side of it, and make money as silver goes up or down with your high frequency trading, millions of ounces of silver every click of a mouse. And it's not just silver, it's everything. So much rehypothecation of assets, real assets. So just be careful on who holds your asset. It better be you or you're screwed. All right, let's see here. Again, we have breached all moving averages, the 50, the 100, and the 200-day moving averages. All have been breached. Next stop is $30. 25 is kind of a little bump, but not really, only because we had a couple bumps over 25 back in, should be April and then May. Nothing big. They don't want to approach that $30. $30 is back in 2001. This is when we had the Wall Street Bets guys in January of that year, and the head of the CFTC, Russ Benham, came out and said we were able to tamp down the market. They did it using, and he said it. He goes, the market structure was able to tamp down the market. Is his actual words, which means it worked. The market structure means, will the big shorts artificially suppress the price as it rises and then slam everything down? It worked only to an extent, because Rustin Benham and the CFTC and Janet Yellen had to go to the U.S. Mint and tell them to stop making Silver Eagles at that point in time. And that's exactly what they did. And I have a confession on that front by Jack Sermon, the head of U.S. Silver Eagle production. Go to roadtoruta.com. It's right at the front here. If you go to the public road, and you can listen to all the whole entire conversation. I split it up into 3 parts, and basically there's like 5 laws that the U.S. Mint is breaking right now by not making Silver Eagles. But they were told to do that by Janet Yellen, and Rustin Benham said it's how we tamp down the market, is using the market structure. Part of that market structure is to take 30 to 40 million ounces of U.S. Silver Eagle demand and make it go away, which is exactly what they did. The U.S. Mint should be making 50, 60, 70 million ounces every year for the last 2 years, and charging only like $250 over spot, which was their cost. They are not doing that. And no, it is not the availability of silver blanks like they like to use as an excuse, because we know that David Ryder, the Treasury or the Mint director before Ventris Gibson, he was making $4 or $5 million a month, so he had no problem getting blanks. What happened when Biden administration came in? Ventris Gibson, who's never ever worked a day in her life in the industry, ran as director of the Mint, and all of a sudden they hand down the dictate, no, stop making Silver Eagles. And Jack Sermon, the head of Silver Eagles, says, we can't do that. So then they asked him, what is the minimum amount you can make? And I guess he said, and he didn't admit to this, it was under 12 million ounces of a year. Now they bumped that up. They'll probably make close to 20 this year because everybody's screaming and yelling. But that's what's going on. That's part of the silver manipulation. Your government, the people you pay your taxes to, the people who are your employees, are purposefully and illegally, maybe not illegally, because the U.S. Treasury, or the Exchange Stabilization Fund, a part of the U.S. Treasury, has the legal authority since 1934 to rig any market they deem necessary to rig. That's crazy. It's on the books. It's part of the 1934 Gold Act. It says, but you can rig any market you want. What a blanket availability to break the law. That's why the rest of the world said, fuck it, we can't fix the United States. Let's start our own currency, gold back. They're not going to be able to agree to anything. But it is, I mean, who would? You know, when you lose the global world's reserve currency is the U.S. dollar. There will never be another one. And it's just a click of a mouse for the U.S. to stop rigging the markets. A click of a mouse, and poof, it's over. And that was brought to you by Alan Greenspan in the 1960s and 70s, who invented electronic banking, blamed himself for Y2K, and also implemented computer rigging programs that are still controlling the markets today. It's just 1,000 times, 10,000, 100,000 times bigger than it was before, with $2.5 quadrillion in derivatives floating around out there. Anyway, all right. I want to talk quickly about this. Crypto lender Celsius agrees to pay $4.7 billion fine, permanent ban from trading. Celsius was a con. They call it DeFi. It was a con. It was so obvious. I remember when Litecoin Lisa was on her show talking to Johnny Litecoin about Celsius. I'm like, no. I literally had to call Lisa, get me on that show right now. I'm like, don't do it. It's a fraud. This whole, not all of DeFi, but yeah, the vast majority of DeFi, if it doesn't make sense, where is the interest coming from? They're paying interest on these loans, and where's the interest coming from? It's obviously coming from different coins. If the coins go up, that's great. Then they can afford to pay the interest. It's a Ponzi scheme. Old-fashioned swindle is what they're saying. But it's interesting. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, announced the settlement. I mean, and then the guy's going to actual jail because I guess the FTC can send people to jail. CFTC can't. The SEC can't. And where was Gary Gensler in all this? Gary Gensler, right here. Gary Gensler assumed office on April 17th, 2021 of the SEC. Before that, he was the CFTC from 2009 to 2014. Now, we know what happened from 2009 to 2014 with silver. That's when JP Morgan got busted for rigging the silver market. Gary Gensler was the head of the CFTC, the regulator. As a matter of fact, Bart Chilton, one of the other commissioners, said, we had JP Morgan dead to rights as far as rigging the silver market, but a political decision was made by Gary Gensler not to stop them. And then we have this gigantic implosion, and Trump lays down the law and charges them RICO charges. Now, under RICO charges, now they supposedly, from what has been announced, they got out of the RICO charges. I'm not so sure. But that whole agreement that was made 3 years ago is coming to a head at the middle of September, like everything else is coming to a head. It could be because JP Morgan has violated the deferred prosecution agreement. The most obvious one was they're on WhatsApp trying to avoid the regulators after the agreement was signed. And then they get busted and pay another $100 million for it because they're colluding to rig prices on WhatsApp. That is in violation of the deferred prosecution agreement. So that could get just thrown out. The $920 million they got fined, which I don't even think they ever paid, truthfully. Although they did book $1 billion gain in their gold and silver business that same year. But that could be all thrown out now. And we can go back to the RICO charges. The good guys can. We'll find out. Right? Good luck having the U.S. government and regulators have any power at all, and the Justice Department any power at all after the meltdown of the derivative market. So that's where we are. Anyway, yes. So that kind of seals it. You're welcome to anybody who listened to me on Litecoin Lisa's channel. I've been saying forever, stay away from the DeFi. Stay away from the DeFi. Not all DeFi is bad. But it is part of the old system. It's trying to structure away. It's like XRP, and I know XRP people are don't talk about XRP, Bix. XRP can only exist because if the bankers exist. That's why I'm not a fan of XRP. Not one of the many reasons I'm not a fan of XRP, but the biggest reason is the obvious one. XRP was meant to replace or augment or whatever the SWIFT system, where the big banks passing money back and forth. If the big banks are gone, there is no purpose for XRP. And I know the big banks are going to be gone. You can just look at this chart and say, okay, if derivatives go, that means JP Morgan's gone, Goldman Sachs is gone, Citibank's gone. That's four of the biggest customers of XRP. And everything's gone. We are headed for something that has never been seen. The destruction of a global unbacked fiat monetary system. Never in history of the world has there ever been a collapse of especially the world's reserve unbacked fiat currency, master the U.S. dollar. So as we see, nothing is going to survive this unless you have it in your hands. And then we restart, and we've talked about many ways to do that. So this, Gary Gensler, if you look at the price of Bitcoin when Gary Gensler got in was April of 2017, and April of 2017 is right in here. Bam, as soon as he gets in, they slam down the market. And then he says all these positive things about DeFi and crypto, and it goes up to its all-time high, Bitcoin, $66,000, $67,000, and then they started talking bad about it. And then they said, oh, we're going to come down and regulate. Then all the DeFi fell apart. Boom, boom, boom. And you basically destroyed the entire crypto markets because of these phony DeFi stuff. It was all Gary Gensler's doing. 100%. This is a planned operation. And now we're starting to get back up. DeFi, forget about it. Forget about DeFi. If you don't hold your crypto in your own possession, good luck. yes, I am still a massive fan of cryptocurrencies. I think they will be the future of money. They're not going to survive well during the crash. But it's not like you can go in and buy it. The exchanges will be gone. What would you buy it with? The exchanges will be gone. Decentralized exchanges, maybe. They're not used to volume. Crazy shit can happen. Just keep your coin. You gotta just sit in your lawn chair on the sidelines and ride this shit out. My favorite for the future is obviously Theta. I've been talking about Theta for so long now. It's at a great buying point, Theta. It's 80 cents now. Once it hit $15, when the thing is, it got valued of what it was going to do, not necessarily what it had already done. At the latest, everybody was buying it. It will go back to that because now everything's in place that it's needed. Massive amounts of broadband are needed because that Netflix to enter live stream sports. Yes, Netflix, one of the largest streaming online. There's a difference between streaming online of movies with the CDN's content delivery networks and with live stream. With live stream, you got to have everything happening at the same time. You can't. It's not recorded. You can't like store it in this one place and then the content delivery networks and then spread it out. But Theta is a massive solve for this problem. Netflix can't get into live stream. It's kind of like saying, "Oh, solar panel is going to use up 90% of the silver by 2050." It can't happen. It can't happen because other people want it. For Netflix to enter the live stream sports, imagine all live stream sports happening at the same time. You ever see that little circle go round and round? You're going to see so much of that because live stream is different. And a really good article right here on streaming media, Netflix, and the challenges of live stream. It talks all about what the guys over at Theta have invented a cure for, a solution to, long before it was a gigantic problem. And that's expansion of broadband in the last mile delivery. And this, I think, is what's going to really catapult Theta, not only all the other stuff. I mean, there's so much stuff. And yes, Theta has patented many patents on this technology. So, yeah, I think nothing but good stuff in the future for Theta. All you got to do is get from here to there. And there is after the unbacked fiat monetary system crashes. That's why you have silver and massive amounts of silver. And then imagine how much Theta you can buy as silver explodes higher, explodes to a fair market value of, let's say, $2,000-$3,000 to start with. And Penny has said $600. Cliff has said $600. But they both said that's just kind of the stopping point when it goes over 50. So you go over 50 and you like run crazy for a couple months up to 600, and then they'll slam it down and we need a new exchange and blah, blah, blah. I mean, the amount of losses for anybody short silver at $600 silver would destroy any bank anyway. So we will see what happens. Again, now's the time to just take a breath. It's going to get a lot crazier before it gets better. And get your physical silver in your own possession. If you don't have cryptos yet, get them. Get as much Theta as you can. Theta Fuel, T-Drop. Who knows? I mean, they're going to need other types of for the NFTs. And I think one of the most exciting things that Hitomi over at Crypto Viewing saw was that Theta will be used by big corporations as their blockchain. And Theta did invent a way so that an Amazon chain can be put on the Theta blockchain for approvals, but it will be an Amazon token. But they'll have to use T-Fuel to do the transactions just like everybody else right now. And yes, that because it is a modified proof of stake coin, there's a guardian and a validator. Validator is like a handful of the big names like Google and Sony and Samsung would validate the transactions because it's easy to do if it's just a handful of people validating the transactions. But because you can't trust just a handful, that's too easy to collude, they have guardian nodes, which I have guardian nodes, to make sure that they're not they're doing it right. Amazing technology. And oh, by the way, it's ESG compliant. It uses barely any energy because it's proof of stake. It's fast, it's cheap, it's an amazing product. It is the future. You just got to hang on to it between now and then. All right. And oh, by the way, finally they're talking about arresting this deep state guy, Ray Epps, the guy who was in charge of telling everybody to go in the Capitol. Yes, was he employed by the federal government or just the deep state? Nobody really knows. Why didn't the DOJ even investigate him? But now Tucker Carlson came out a while ago and said, this is ridiculous. He's on film. We have to go into the Capitol. And oh my God, it's so crazy. And when this breaks down, hopefully, when the whole system breaks down, the leftists will open their eyes and they'll be Americans again. Until they do, they're un-American, in my opinion. And that's fine. Go be un-American in a different country. I think when the truth comes out about the child trafficking amongst the Republicans, the Democrats, the Hollywood people, the bankers, J.P. Morgan, that's going to be a big one. I'm talking to Jenny about that in just a few minutes. All that is going to come out, and there won't be left and right. There won't be, Bill America, go America, and the left go, oh, hug a tree. They'll be Americans. All we need is the truth. That's all we need. All we need is the truth, and we will unite behind each other with a new currency, gold and silver. We'll have cryptocurrencies, which is not illegal to own a cryptocurrency. And we will have very tiny government, if any government at all. No regulators. Screw the regulators. They've already proven to be criminals themselves. Who do you think signed the check for the Steele dossier? Gary Gensler. Yes, Clinton's finance guy. So that's where we are on the road to Ruta. Again, I think definitely by September, when silver blows past $30, we're going to stop giving away the silver Ruta coin with every subscription. We'll probably be giving away a crypto after that. But that's when that ends. So if you want to get your hands on a silver Road to Ruta coin, double stamp with the hand-painted heart, each individually numbered, we give them away with every subscription to the private road at roadtoruta.com. Click on subscribe today. Also, don't forget, Andy's got the special of silver Ruta bars, 10-ounce bars, only $2.99 over spot. I don't know how big a collectible premium these will get one day, but if the Road to Ruta theory is proven correct, you're going to want to have a whole bunch of these as well. All right, that's what I got for you. This is Bix Weir. I'll talk to you.